Members, it's the appointed time and we have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. The meeting is scheduled to end at 5:30 p.m. today. If necessary, I will extend it by 15 minutes. If I may remind members, if you have any direct or indirect pecuniary interest in relation to the items of discussion today, please act in accordance with Rule 83A of the Rules of Procedure, disclose the nature of the interest before you speak. Please also pay attention to Rule 84 of the Rules of Procedure in case of relating to voting in case of direct pecuniary interest. We're going to deal with FCR 2025-2646 today. Members are invited to approve the creation of a new commitment of $1 billion under Head 47, Government Secretariat, Digital Policy Office Subhead 700, General Non-Recurrent for the establishment and operation of the Hong Kong Artificial Intelligence Research and Development Institute, AIRDI. The ITIB consulted the panel on Information Technology and Broadcasting on the 14th of July 2025. To answer members' questions, we have from the administration, Professor Sun Dong, Secretary for Innovation Technology, Tony Wong, Commissioner for Digital Policy, and Mr. Donald Mack, Deputy Commissioner for Digital Policy. Now I will ask the Madam Chair of the panel on Information Technology and Broadcasting to brief you on the salient points of their discussion. The panel discussed about the funding proposal of $1 billion for the establishment of AIRDI on the 14th of July 2025. The members supported the administration submitting the proposal to the Finance Committee for consideration. Members are of the view that the Institute should coordinate the research and development of local AI institutions and consolidate resources. It should also enhance synergy and effectiveness while promoting the popularization and application of artificial intelligence so that we can work with the mainland on certification and data flow to dovetail with the national AI strategy. Members noted that the funding proposal are used for the establishment of AIRDI and the operating cost of the first 5 years, and they are concerned about the long-term financial arrangement. They are of the view that the government should prioritize the use of the products and services from the Institute so to help it develop more sources of income. The administration has responded to members' questions at the meeting. I have to remind members that this is a finance committee. Please do not ask policy-related questions. Your questions must be related to the $1 billion allocation for the Institute. There are 19 members who have pressed the button. Ms. Chen Pui-Lan, Nam Chen-Sing, Dennis Leung, Shanghai Long, Chow Man-Kwan, Chow Xiu-Hong, Sterry Lee, Ngan Man-Yu, Benson Leuk, Carmen Khan, William Wong, So Chen-Wing, Doreen Kong, Lillian Kwok, Priscilla Leung, Wendy Hong, Yong Ha Yan, Perry Yu, and Xiu Ka-Fai. If your questions are not related to finance, I will ask the Secretary not to answer your question. Mr. Chan Pulan, thank you. My question is definitely finance related. I'd like to ask about the potential income of the Institute. According to the paper, the $1 billion commitment will be exhausted in 5 years. It is estimated that as the yearly operating cost will be some $300 million. If they are able to make money, then perhaps the government don't have to inject more funding into the Institute. I wonder how you arrived at the estimates, because in the first 2 years of establishment, I believe that the Institute will not be able to make any money. And starting from the 3rd year, they may be able to generate revenue. So what kind of revenue are we talking about here? Second, will we ask the CEO to achieve a break-even? Will that be one of the indicators in their assessment? I will ask Mr. Wong to answer this question. Thank you. Regarding the question on the revenue of the Institute, we have engaged a consultant to conduct a market analysis And the result shows that in the first 2 years, the institute will be able to establish its business network and obtain recognition from the sector. The revenue will come from commercialization of mid to downstream R&D. It could be AI projects to support public administration. It could be income coming from patent registration, including profit sharing with the market. The institute will also be able to provide consultant, advisory services, business matching services for the trade. They may also be able to perform assessment and cybersecurity trials for the private sector. We believe that starting from the third year, the institute will be able to generate income, and the annual revenue will be about $200 to $300 million per year. And we believe that the institute will be able to break even in no time. Thank you. What about the recruitment criteria for CEO? After the funding proposal has been approved, we're going to establish a board of directors. The board of directors will formulate details on the remuneration and the recruitment criteria of the CEO of the institute. The yearly remuneration of the institute should be about $4 to $5 million per year. We hope that there will be a stable increase in terms of the yearly remuneration of the CEO of the R&D Institute. What about the other question on assessment criteria? The R&D Institute carries a public mission conferred onto it by the government. We ask the institute to strive for a sustainable increase in income. It should be able to achieve a robust fiscal position. Mr. Chen talked about a break-even or a fiscal balance. I think that's very accurate. That's also our goal. When the institute matures, we hope that the revenue will be able to offset the expenditure. Even if the institute is able to break even, it does not mean that the government will not inject any further investment. IMEC in Belgium is generating about 1 billion euros every year. Still, the government is injecting funding into the institute. That's because the government wants the institute to offer more services. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. My question is also about the future financial arrangement. Chairman, you are also a member of the panel on information technology and broadcasting. I remember you asked the same question. You asked if the institute or the administration has any plan on the financial arrangement of the institute in the coming 5 to 10 years. The commissioner said that every year the institute will be able to generate some $200 to $300 million. I wonder if the administration can give us more figures. Say, you said that in 2 years' time you will have 50 people and you will expand the establishment to 110 people. So how much operating cost will be incurred by the Institute in the coming 5 to 10 years? I don't mind if the Institute will be making a loss, because I know many public organizations, say for example ERB, is making a loss every year. Their expenditure is higher than the revenue, but that doesn't matter as long as we know how much loss they're incurring. So will the government have to inject further funding in 10 years' time, 5 years' time? It doesn't mean that the Institute is not doing well if it's making a loss, as long as their service is of value. I want more detailed figures. My second question. There is an AI efficacy enhancement team under the government to look into how the administration is making use of the technology. So will the Institute be able to offer service to the government as a consultant or as an advisor? As to how the government can better make use of AI in their daily operation. Can the Institute then charge fees from the government by offering their advisory service? Will the experts in the Institute be able to offer advice to the government? Professor Sun, thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Tony Wong to answer the first question. Thank you. The Digital Policy Office and the consultancy teams conducted some analysis. That's how we arrived at the income and expenditure estimates. After the institute has been established, the board of directors and their team will formulate their business plan every year, and then the plan will be submitted to the Digital Policy Office every year. Only after that will we approve funding for the institute for its operation. So the figures that we have at hand is a result of market analysis and research. I think that we should leave it to the board of directors and their team to conduct a detailed annual business plan and report. When we have the report, we will look into whether it's feasible and if it's reasonable. If it is, then we will approve more funding on, say, expenditure of the R&D projects, on the potential revenue of the commercialization of R&D outcome, on the business matching income. There could be discrepancy between estimates and actual figures. What about the other questions on whether the institute can charge the government? Thank you. The third public mission of the institute is to offer advisory services to the government that is conducive to the promotion of AI development in Hong Kong. That covers not just the government, but also the entire territory. The Institute will offer to the government recommendations which can enhance AI governance. We're also going to offer AI solutions and platform. We will charge the government fees based on the users pay principle for our service. And this is one of our sources of income.
Mr. Dennis Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I support the proposal. I have a question. In paragraph 29 of the paper, it sets out the financial implications, and in the 5th year, the amount is $92 million. Well, for the first 2 years, $200 million more, and for the third year, $100 million more than the figure of $92 million in the fifth year. I'd like to know what the surplus or what the excess is spent on. In paragraph 15C, provision of technical advisory, consulting, and technology solution matching services. According to the estimate of the government, how much revenue will be generated in order to increase the reserve for the institute to sustain itself in case there is excessive operating expenditure. If not, how will the institute deal with the excessive operating expenditure? 5 years later, will the institute be able to sustain itself so that it can continue to pursue development of AI? 3 questions in total, Professor Sun. Thank you, Mr. Leung, for your questions. For the third question, I will answer briefly. For the first 2 questions, I will ask Mr. Tony Wong to take them. Will the institute be able to sustain itself 5 years later? Yes, definitely. The management team of the institute will have to fulfill its public functions. At the same time, it will also have to do its level best to strive for financial sustainability in the long term. For the first 2 questions, I will ask Mr. Tony Wong to answer you. Thank you. For the table provided in the paper, that is our ballpark estimate of the funding. It sets out the distribution across a total of 5 years. The reason why for the first 4 years the amounts are larger because, as we expect, at the initial stage of the institute, there's a lot of infrastructure to be set up and a lot of staff members to be recruited. There will also be operating expenditure or overheads such as the computing platform as well as the setup of offices. Afterwards, there will be consulting services, advisory services, commercialization of R&D outcomes in the downstream. This will generate income. That's why, starting from the second and the third year, we will invest less. Starting from the third year, the amount will increase again. That is because we expect in the third year, the institute will have to take on more staff members in order to cope with the additional workload as well as the new commitments. All these support the income sources in the future of the institute. That's why, starting from the fifth year, the amount will drop to $92 million. That is below $100 million. About $300 million are the income of the institute. As the Secretary mentioned, the institute will work hard in order to aim for break even. Then the income will be able to help the institute to sustain itself. Well, in relation to the consulting services for startups, will it be a paid service or will it be free of charge? Well, I believe we will have to take into account the balanced development of the institute. So in my opinion, I believe there will be charges. But it will depend after the setup of the institute. It will depend on the business plan of the management of the institute. Thank you. Next member, Mr. Shanghai Long. I am an advisor to a local AI company. I speak in support of the setup of the institute in question. I have read the paper provided by the administration. This institute is called an institute, but it is actually like a company. It aims at achieving break-even, and starting from the fifth year, the institute will have to make a profit of $200 million to $300 million every year. In this regard, I have two questions. One, in relation to motivating the team, the CEO will enjoy a salary of $4 to $5 million, and that is quite attractive. For the salaries of the staff members, the digital policy officer will be monitoring the situation, and then the administration will be controlling and regulating the remuneration of staff members. Well, actually, how will staff members be motivated to make profits if there is only a stable income for managers? For example, how can you make sure the managers won't leave the company and start up their own business? My second question is that for R&D institutes, there's a requirement of about 30% of sponsors from society, or even 50%. But the target isn't quite ideal. This institute will have to be able to sustain itself after 5 years. Why is it so special to the extent that it will inspire confidence in us? Well, basically, I visited almost all R&D centers. There's a large team of ASTRI working on AI. So what is the link between ASTRI and the Hong Kong Artificial Intelligence R&D Institute? Will the funding given to ASTRI be given to the AIRDI in the future? Thank you, Professor Sun. Thank you. Before Mr. Shang asked his two questions, he made a key point. That is, the institute, is it a company? Well, it is actually an institute with public functions. It has a public vision. In Hong Kong, we have a few AI companies. The annual income can be as high as $200 to $300 million. We have actually spent a lot on it. We need to make sure there will be break even. And I believe we need to have a clear direction. We need to give pressure to the institute, so to speak. However, when it comes to striking a balance between break even and fulfilling the 5 public functions, of course, fulfilling public functions is the top priority. However, it doesn't mean we won't strive for financial sustainability or financial robustness. Mr. Chang mentioned quite a lot of challenges, but we have to overcome them after all. AIRDI is quite different from other institutes. AIRDI has quite a lot of business opportunities in the future. We hope to seek support from the Finance Committee for the better development of the institute. It is actually possible to achieve financial robustness. For all platforms provided to the government at present, there are different schemes, and all of them are being provided free of charge. After a period of time, will they be operated on a user's pay principle? In the process, we will have to work with a lot of different organizations. There will also be a lot of new intellectual property rights. There will be a lot more room for us to generate profits. We also have a wide array of services, say technical advisory, as well as consulting services. There are international standards. Well, after all, we identify challenges, but at the same time, we also see there are a lot of opportunities. So just now, Mr. Shang, you mentioned we need to incentivize our team. I believe this is the goal of a lot of young people in Hong Kong as well. That's why this is actually the best AI R&D platform. I believe people with a vision, with a sense of mission, will join this platform. And we will put in place new rules and regulations. Thank you. Well, for the sponsored income received, will they be the same as that received by other R&D institutions? Well, in a certain period of time, we want to achieve break-even. Even if we fail to do so, we need to aim for this target. But at the same time, we need to fulfill all the public functions given to the institute. Mr. Shang, do you have any other ways to incentivize the team or just stable salary? Well, the only way to incentivize team is to realize one's dream among young people. That is the sole criterion they have. Well, the administration has already answered you, but whether you're satisfied with the answer, that is another matter. Professor Chow Man Kong, thank you. The Institute has its public functions to fulfill. We are concerned about its financial sustainability as well. AIRDI is quite similar to the other 4 R&D centers in Hong Kong. 40% of the total amount of $1 billion is in relation to R&D, whereas 27% is in relation to staff. Salaries make up the largest proportion of the figure, whereas for 16% computing power and 17% for general operating expenses. There is no mention of rent. Will it be set up in Cyberport or Science Park? Then you may be able to save on some rents. For staff members for the first 2 years, the figure will stand at 50, and then 5 years later, the figure will increase to 110. What about expenditure on remuneration? In theory, it will double, given the fact that the number of staff members will also be double. Well, put it this way, it's actually quite easy for you to exhaust the amount of $1 billion. You need to be able to generate profits. Just now the Secretariat attaches a lot of importance to public functions. Well, I have 2 ideas for your reference, Secretary. Just now, in the Legislative Council, we have passed the government bill on the registration of title and land. Will AI and big data be used? For the input of a total of 2.9 million of deeds. This is actually a profitable business opportunity. At the same time, you'll be able to fulfill your public functions. You should really consider this. When it comes to the license applications of the Transport Department Secretary, you can go to the United Center. It takes probably half a day or 1 whole day for members of the public to make an application. If you can seize the opportunity, the members of the public will be happy. Professor Sun, in relation to rents, thank you. In relation to the selection of sites, there will be announcements coming soon. I'm not in a position to disclose the details at present. Professor Chow just now talked about 2 proposals which are related to the operational efficiency of the government. This will be under the purview of the AI efficacy enhancement team. Thank you for your views. We have noted them down. In relation to license applications under the Transport Department, I Am Smart is an effective solution in relation to driving licenses. When mainland talent comes to Hong Kong, they will have to go to government departments to make an application and get visas or permits in the flesh. There is a certain level of inconvenience, I understand, but I'd like to tell member, under the leadership of the AI efficacy enhancement team, this project is one of the projects under the team. The Transport Department and the DPO have already started collaboration. We hope to solve this problem as soon as possible. Thank you for your support.
個人工智能研發院完全
I think that is worth it for us to establish the institute. Thank you. Secretary, if you go deeper into your answer, then it's not finance related, and I will stop you. Mr. Chan Xiuhong, thank you. I thank the administration for adopting some of my suggestions. The institute will prioritize the use of software and hardware of S3. Well, during the panel meeting, when we discussed this item, I said that $10 billion is not a huge sum for artificial intelligence if we compare ourselves to other places in the world. But after all, this is public money, so we have to look into how effective the institute is. We are worried if it's sustainable. And I'd like to ask about the positioning of the institute. The secretary said that the institute will be playing the leading role in the AI development. And in this paper, we can see that the institute will be accorded with public mission and public functions. The functions are set out in paragraph 13. The institute will coordinate resources, and the work of the institute covered a wide area of areas. I wonder if the $10 billion is enough. The institute is the driver of economy, and that's how we achieve the multiplier effect. So I think it's worth it to inject public money into the institute. The economic benefits that can be generated by the institute could be 3 times or 4 times the investment that we made. I wonder how the institute will work with other organizations that are working on similar things. I wonder if the institute can actually coordinate resources. Hong Kong Guy was established in 2023. We injected some $200 million into it. In October next year, the Hong Kong Guy would see its mission accomplished. So are you going to incorporate Hong Kong Guy into the Hong Kong AIRDI? If not, why? Second, one of the business of the institute is to offer AI matching services. And it is said that the institute will establish an AI technology solution matching platform to promote effective matching of AI solutions with industry needs. However, we already have a Cyberport's digital transformation project, and the AI Institute of Cyberport is working on similar things, along with the company under the Hong Kong Productivity Council. So should we not just consolidate all the resources? Should we have the institute to be the leader? If we can consolidate other resources, then we can achieve synergy. You've spent 4 minutes on your questions. A succinct reply from the Secretary, please. Thank you. We have incorporated some of Mr. Chan's idea into a proposal submitted today. As you said, the Institute is one with public mission. As your question on Hong Kong Guide, without the success of Hong Kong Guide, we wouldn't have proposed the establishment of this institute. But Hong Kong Guide is hosted in another system. So in accordance with prevailing procedures, we will look into and review the operation and the fiscal position of Hong Kong Guide as the project is not expired yet. We may reorganize Hong Kong Guide and we may incorporate it into this AI R&D Institute because we shouldn't have 2 separate institutes. Many organizations, many schools establish their own platforms. I believe that many tertiary institutes will be willing to work with the institute, the Hong Kong ARDI, that is, the threshold of developing AI is becoming higher and higher. So we adopt a forward-looking approach so that we can attract leaders in the tertiary institutions and in the field. And this is how we establish an ecosystem. Regarding the matching platform you mentioned, its mission is to connect with the trade in using artificial intelligence. The market already has developed a large number of AI products and AI models. The sector, when they want to seek AI technology solutions, the Institute will be able to offer matching service to them. By having the solution matching platform, it will help potential AI developers and the Institute to generate more income. Thank you. Mr. Benson Look. Thank you. Regarding the $1 billion for the establishment and operation of the AIRDI for to spearhead and support innovative research and development of AI and its industry applications in Hong Kong, I support it. Over the long run, the Institute should be self-sustainable. I have a few questions. Paragraph 15A says that the Institute can provide solutions for public R&D projects led by the government so as to accelerate AI applications in the public sector. And it may conduct research and provide recommendations conducive to promoting Hong Kong AI's development. And the Secretary just now said that the Institute may charge for their service. If we can establish AI standards, then that will promote the development of the sector. Second, according to paragraph 29, it is said that as the Institute continues to operate, it will be able to generate a revenue other than that from the government. But that hinges on market development. If we are to adopt a baseline mindset, as at 2030 or 31, if the institute cannot break even, how will the Bureau support the institute in fulfilling their public missions? Thank you. I think the Secretary's answer to the second question would be to ask the electrical for further funding injection. Well, our goal is to achieve a fiscal balance, to break even, which means that revenue will equal expenditure. We have 2 existing R&D institutes in Hong Kong, and we believe that when the institute reaches a certain stage, it can serve the public market apart from the government. As the institute has to fulfill its public mission, so what we look for is a robust fiscal position, not just self-sustainability. I just talked about IMEC. They generated revenue of 1 billion euros. Despite that, the government is still injecting funding into the institute. The R&D institute is to fulfill certain public missions, so I think that the government also has the responsibility to support it. As we are preparing for the establishment of the institute, we've looked into various means of financing. Apart from the board of directors, we also need an academic committee. The academic committee will determine on the priority of R&D projects because we want to advance technology. As to how we recruit fellows, how we hire scientists for research and development, I think that we should leave it to the academic committee. Ms. Carmen Khan. Thank you, Chairman. I have to declare interest. I am a non-official member of the AI subsidy scheme. I speak in support of the funding proposal. I don't have direct or indirect pecuniary interest in relation to this item. I noticed that regarding upstream AI development and commercialization of R&D outcome, we are making progress. I'd like to know how different this Hong Kong AI RDI is from the 5 institutes that we already have. We are going to inject some $300 million into the institute in the first 3 years, and after that the institute is going to make money and eventually it will break even. But I don't think that it's not, the government should not be injecting further funding as long as the institute starts to make money, because $1 billion is not that much. The AI subsidy scheme that we have has a commitment of some $3 billion. So I wonder if we need to inject further funding into the institute. Second, for SG, say for example, is located in the Science Park. I think that we should have this AI RDI in the Cyberport because it has a supercomputing center and a comprehensive ecosystem has been established. The Secretary said that he will announce the location of the institute very soon, so you don't have to answer this question. Third, on the organization chart of the institute. Well, I know that there will be a CEO, there will be a board of directors. You already have an academic committee in your plan. And I understand that more committees will be set up. I know it's hard for you to tell us what projects you're going to take forward in the future. So I hope that you will go to the relevant panels of the LegCo to report on the further details. Thank you.
All right. Secretary, let's hear from the Secretary. Thank you, Ms. Carmen Khan. I thank Ms. Carmen Khan for joining the AI subsidy scheme of the Bureau. Thank you for being a gatekeeper of the scheme. This scheme is very well received. Thank you, Ms. Carmen Khan. Regarding injections, yes, indeed, you got it right. Break-even is a target which we move towards. Just now, Mr. Chen talked about a very important point. We need to consider the impact of the injections on society. The impact on society could be multiplied. That's why I go along with Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. This is exactly what the government is thinking regarding the site. Of course, self-report is a consideration. I mean, it is an option. But are there any other options? I will leave it to the management of the institute. They will liaise with the DPO while making a decision. Every year, we go to the relevant panel to make a report. So every year, we will meet. We will talk about the issues that are of concern to members. The board of directors hasn't been formed yet. After the finance committee has given the green light, then we will immediately set up a board of directors. We will also recruit CEO and set up the academic committee as well. Our target is to help the institute to come into operation in 2026. Thank you. Next, Professor William Wong. Thank you, Chairman. I give my support to the proposal. I made a proposal on promoting AI to the chief executive. In the proposal, I mentioned an AI Plus research center. That's why I support this proposal. My questions are about finance. First of all, about financial arrangements. In our discussion just now, we talked about to G, to B, and to C. There are different approaches. I'd like to know at this stage, can you tell us about the financial arrangements, financial distribution, how much will be spent across these three approaches? When it comes to providing services, do we do so on a platform? You talked about new technologies. You talked about having business. We have different models. Some are solution-based models. So how are you going to flesh out the financial arrangements? My next question is about the operation model of the institute. At present, ASTRI works with industries to apply for funding under the ITF. This will help ASTRI to continue with this operation, or is it a standalone organization and then it works with an external enterprise on some projects together? If that is the case, you will exhaust $1 billion very quickly. My third question is a proposal. We often talked about assessments, and we use money as a benchmark. As the Secretary said, we have a very important public mission. This creates a lot of social values. If we can quantify them, they can offset your contributions. Then people will know what you have actually done when you present the outcome to others. Secretary, thank you. Thank you, Professor Wong. I'd like to ask Mr. Tony Wong to give Professor Wong a brief reply. Thank you. Regarding financial arrangements, Professor Wong is right. We consider all options, platforms, the provision of solutions and technologies. The Institute may be involved in all these possibilities. In the document, we talked about a matching of solutions. The AIRDI will also be working with university teams or organizations in the public and private sectors. The Institute may work with these organizations on some projects. This will give flexibility to researchers, to institutes. This will generate different income sources. After the setup of the board of directors and the management, every year they will submit a business report. And we will have regard to the prevailing market situation while we map out the future business plans every year. We will leave some room for the Institute to make these arrangements. We cover all three aspects in our assessment, but we will leave it to the management to prepare the detailed report. Regarding the operational mode of SG, I believe all institutes in the world are similar. They are very close. First of all, they conduct research, they work with universities, they work with different organizations. They may apply for fundings as well. They will also have their own arrangements. I believe there will be R&D expenditure to conduct research into important matters. For details, I will leave them to the management to decide. Regarding your last question, we are grateful to your proposal. We encourage existing research and development institutes to consider their possible impact on society. They may not create value, but they do have a lot of different enterprises to create values, be they economic benefits or social values. These will be detailed in the reports in the future. Thank you. Dr. So Chang Wang. The setup of the Institute is to develop AI and to align it with the global trend and the national strategies. Of course, we definitely support the setup of the Institute. Probably we were attracted to the words of break even. A lot of members focus on breaking even. Professor Sun also talks about alongside fulfilling public mission, Institute must continue to pursue financial sustainability. The standard cannot be compromised. Well, it sounds perfect, but can you actually cover all the bases? It may be possible that you cannot. In the end, you may increase your income while you enhance the mechanism for applying for driving licenses. That is actually not a gold mine, but instead it's, so to speak, belittling your own value. That's why you must adhere to the public functions set up in the paper, that is to foster integration, to offer recommendations to the government, and to provide a collaborative platform. You may not be able to make money out of it. It is an important function to drive social development or to drive the development of the relevant industries. I'd like to hear from Professor Sun. I'd like to hear from you directly. What is the real positioning of the Institute? What is the focus of the Institute? Please tell us. You need to tell us clearly so that we will be able to vote with confidence. Well, Professor Sun, you have to speak on financial matters as well. Professor Sun, I agree with member, but these are my personal views anyway. Before any government floats a proposal, personal preferences are involved, but we have to take into account acceptability of society, financial arrangements, and the recognition of legislators. We need to consider a whole basket of factors. That's why I have a very clear attitude. The most important responsibility is the fulfillment of public mission of the Institute. However, at the same time, we cannot compromise our existing resources either. That's why in the coming 5 years, we hope the Institute will do its level best to achieve financial sustainability. Break-even is our goal. We want to ride on the development of the special industry of AI to achieve what other R&D centers cannot do. We need to strike a balance. That's what I think. Thank you. Dr. So? There are a total of 5 public missions. If you can fulfill all of them, if you can give full play to all the 5 public missions, every year we're just going to inject $200 million for 5 years, totaling $1 billion. If you can really achieve all these functions, even if you have none expenditure from out of these income sources, I believe society will support you all out. Well, I don't think you have to cover all the bases. Otherwise, other areas may be compromised. Well, Dr. So, you don't need to talk about anything that is not financially related in the Finance Committee. Thank you. Next member, Mr. Dorian Kong. Well, we meet Professor Sun quite frequently. When it comes to injections of technology, we actually see their proposals quite frequently. In these 2 years, we have approved quite a lot of funding. Say there is the INT fund to drive the development of AI in July 2025, a total of $10 billion. When it comes to different support schemes in relation to frontier technology, $3 billion were approved. AI subsidy scheme, a total of $3 billion as well. I'm not saying that I don't agree with the injection of $1 billion to be given to AIRDI. However, well, I mean, you talked about facilities, development, planning when it comes to AI. Shouldn't we have the AIRDI before we really take these forward? Now you're asking for $1 billion to develop the AIRDI. Is there any duplication, overlapping with what we have approved earlier on? Is there any collaboration with the projects previously approved? In paragraph 27, the Commissioner for Digital Policy will act as the controlling officer for the new subhead allocation to the AIRDI. In Beijing, the relevant technology institute is funded by the government. They receive funding from the government. The report is very comprehensive. All the information is made public. When it comes to the financial statements or the financial achievements, will they be made public so the members of the public will be able to check all these achievements? In paragraph 3, well, instead in paragraph 30, 40% of $1 billion of the AIRDI will be related to R&D projects, 27% will be allocated to remuneration for R&D personnel. Professor Sun talked about a total of 50 people will be recruited. That's about $130,000 every month. Can Professor Sun tell us more?
可能是想问。
Regarding the first question, I think that Ms. Kong wanted to ask us about the $3 billion AI subsidy scheme. The institute is to support the computing facility. Without computing capability, we won't be able to establish the institute. The subsidy scheme is to subsidize the trade in expanding their computing power. And computing power costs money. The trade's been establishing computing facilities. And it's a great commitment that we made. So the subsidy scheme is to build an ecosystem for the trade. And that's different from the $1 billion AIRDI. Of course, the institute have to purchase computing power, but it won't take up all of the commitment because computing power is very costly. For other R&D institutes, they will submit a detailed financial reports to LegCo every year. The same goes for the institute, the Hong Kong AIRDI. Third, I'd like to ask Mr. Wong to answer the question on detailed expenditure. Thank you. On the expenses on R&D personnel, according to our estimates, there will be approximately 50 staff members in the institute for the first 2 years, as the workload of the institute will take up in the third year, so we're going to have 110 people by then. About 50% will be R&D personnel, which include supervisory and frontline officers. Some of them will be working on administrative, marketing duties, and some will coordinate with the industry. When we have fewer staff, then the expenditure on R&D personnel will be lower, and in the last 2 years in the 5-year plan, then the percentage of R&D personnel will be higher. So not all 50 staff members are R&D personnel. Can you let us know the average remuneration per staff member? Because Ms. Kong just quoted the figure of $130,000. In terms of manpower distribution, as I said, we need a CEO, and their remuneration will be higher, which is approximately $4 million. We also have a COO that coordinate all the R&D projects and run the institute on a day-to-day basis. The annual remuneration of that COO, based on market research, would be about $2.5 million or above. We also have senior R&D personnel, 25 of them. Their annual remuneration about $1.12 million. Thank you. Next, Ms. Lillian Kwok. Thank you. We are to discuss whether we should approve the creation of a new commitment of $1 billion for establishment of the AIRDI. I believe that we're all going to support it because we have to dovetail with national developments, and we don't play a part, then we will lag behind on our INT development. But according to my observation, many universities and private companies are already investing in AI, and they are already commercializing their R&D outcome. It is said in the paper that the institute will be playing a coordinating role. Apart from coordinating, the institute will be developing its own R&D projects. The commitment, well, some 40% will be spent on the R&D projects, 27% on remuneration, 16% on computing power. I agree that we should build an ecosystem first before developing R&D projects on our own. Is there any flexibility to your percentage? Or is the figures final? Professor Sun. I think that this is a finance-related question. The institute will be playing a coordinating role. But if we look at the overseas R&D institute, including those in Beijing and Shanghai, the R&D institute usually play a coordinating role, and our institute also play 5 different public functions, including promoting frontier research in AI. As I said, a threshold for AI R&D is getting higher and higher. It's hard for us to rely on one single company. Computing power is costly. So we definitely need such an institute to coordinate the resources. So one of the mission of the institute is to promote frontier research in AI so that our technology can continue to be the leader. Our R&D personnel are not professors at universities. These personnel will be working exclusively for the institute, but at the same time they will work with universities. That's why we have this fellowship committee. I thank the member for her question. Thank you. I hope that under the leadership of the Secretary, we will be able to see R&D outcome. I think that the Bureau should step up their publicity and promotion. We hope that the outcome of the R&D projects will be able to contribute to our GDP. Thank you. Next, Ms. Elizabeth Quat. Thank you. I support the establishment of the AIRDI. I see that the Institute has a very forward-looking vision and mission. I hope that the Institute will be playing a leading role in coordinating efforts, coordinating with the government universities, R&D institutions. The Institute will be launching R&D projects. We have this Hong Kong guy They are creating ALM. And I see that the Institute will be working with the government. And you said that you hope that they will be able to generate revenue to break even. We are at the same time supporting Inno Hong Kong. Are you going to incorporate it under the AIRDI? The ALM that they create is actually supporting the operation of our government. And when we have that, we can establish an NLP platform. Can the Institute charge a fee for the platforms that they develop? Can we charge operating cost? Can we charge for the intellectual property of the platforms? I wonder if this is a possibility. Will the Institute be able to generate recurrent revenue? Thank you. Well, my second question on administrative cost. You said that 27% will be allocated to remuneration for R&D personnel, AI technology consultants, staff of marketing and industry collaboration activities, and other administrative staff. So how many percent out of the 27% will be allocated to higher R&D personnel? As for AI technology consultants, staff of marketing and industry collaboration activities, we don't need AI experts for those positions. They could be a clerical staff, they could be marketing personnel. Can you give us a breakdown on how the $270 million will be spent? What is the allocation? Will 20% be allocated for R&D personnel? You said that at the beginning you will have more administrative staff than R&D personnel. So eventually, how many percent of the staff will be R&D personnel? Okay, first question on Hong Kong Guy, second on administrative costs. Secretary, thank you. I will answer the first question on Hong Kong Guy. As I said, Hong Kong Guy is an institute under another system and is in operation for no more than 3 years. Upon expiry of its operation, we will review the institute. The IT Commission will look into the future arrangement of the Hong Kong Guy. We propose AIRDI based on the success of Hong Kong Guy. So one possibility is to incorporate Hong Kong Guy into the institute, but there are procedures that we have to follow. So I'm not committing anything.
I'd like to ask Mr. Tony Wong to take the other question. Well, please focus on the ratio of R&D researchers as asked by Ms. Lillian Kwok. Thank you. For researchers, they account for over 50 of our estimate of remuneration, and we consider this ratio an appropriate one. Thank you. Next member, Professor Priscilla Leung. The Secretary studied and worked at university as well. I believe Professor Sun is well up in the operation of a university. I'd like to refer the Secretary to paragraph 18. It's about the setup of an academic committee and a fellowship system. This is very close to what an organization is doing. Let's look at the figures. 50 people, 27% R&D personnel. If you're referring to top-notch, high-caliber, international top-notch talent, I believe they are chair professors at universities. There are administrative staff members. There are also secretaries. I believe only 20 out of 50 in total know well AI. So how many of them are really top-notch talent? There are professors, visiting professors, researchers, and so on. There are different ranks in universities. And you are going to set up a standalone research institute. How do universities pay visiting professors? Apart from UGC funding, universities raise funds to pay visiting professors. But for AIRDI, only 5 years, 1 billion, not a small amount, but not a large amount either. AI is very top-notch technology, is very state-of-the-art. So the CEO needs to know business very well. He needs to know how to promote the services or the products. 27% probably isn't a lot. The research and development capability isn't as great as a faculty, and I'd also like to ask about the service targets. Will there be targets outside Hong Kong? Any in the GBA? Do you target researchers in the GBA as well? If you don't expand out of Hong Kong, probably the research and development capability wouldn't be significant. You want to build a fellowship system. So how can you enable the institute to serve the entire society? Thank you. Professor Sun, 2 questions in total. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to clarify, first of all, when we say a fellowship system, we employ university professors and senior management of enterprises. They are still paid by the relevant universities and organizations. What they are concerned is that how they can leverage this platform to identify larger room for collaboration and development. That's why we want to use this platform to attract top-notch entrepreneurs, scientists to come to this platform. They need to come to this platform to develop it together. They need to develop this AI platform. Next, when it comes to the scope of service, of course, basically, we will use Hong Kong as the base, and then the influence will ripple out to the GBA. Do we have sufficient manpower? Indeed, manpower at present is tight. But that is exactly the present situation. We want to achieve break-even. That's why we will tread very cautiously when it comes to recruitment. We need to, at the same time, enhance collaboration among organizations. Hong Kong has its own specific strengths. I believe for organizations that will be working with the AIRDI, I believe there will be some organizations in overseas countries, some in the mainland. We'll leave it to the management, and we have to immediately recruit good CEO from around the world. Professor Lang, well, as mentioned in paragraph 24, you talked about establishing a secure data sharing mechanism with society. There will also be high-quality interdepartmental and cross-sectoral data sources. Well, the institute will operate on public funds. Is it the case that it will operate on silos? Well, I've been thinking how you can set up a research and development institute to provide service. This department has a very specific scope. Probably universities recruit visiting professors every day. Well, Professor Leung, I believe Professor Sun understands what you mean. Maybe a brief reply. Well, we have drawn reference from the mechanism of different institutes overseas. AIRDI focuses on specific issues and topics. It has its own strengths when it comes to R&D, but of course, it is definitely necessary to work with universities. Dr. Wendy Hong, thank you. The document says that AIRDI will be able to achieve financial sustainability. 30% increase to 40% when it comes to income level. Do we have a similar target? How do you arrive at a figure? AIRDI is a public R&D institute. It's different from universities. It's also different from a public research and development organization. Universities may be focusing on frontier technology, whereas enterprises will focus on profitable projects. Just now, the Secretary emphasized the public mission and functions of the AIRDI. That's why we cannot compare AIRDI with other public organizations. How should we set the target? How can we strike a balance between setting a target and achieving R&D autonomy? Regarding the selection of sites, the Secretary just now said that he couldn't tell us the details. What about any estimate on rents? Which district will you draw reference from? Well, for the second question, it seems the Secretary said not necessary. We don't need it, actually, Secretary. Well, when it comes to the positioning of the R&D Institute, the paper covers a lot of this. An R&D Institute is an institute. We have drawn reference from quite a lot of successful organizations. We draw reference from their experience in relation to operation. There are a lot of AI research institutes in the mainland. They work on R&D, and when it comes to industrial application, there will also be a lot of work. That's why out of a total of 5 public missions, we cover them as well. Overall, we draw reference from successful organizations, including other R&D centers in Hong Kong. Some of them are operating quite well. In this regard, the AIRDI has quite a specific professional ramp. That's why we want it to be financially sustainable. When it comes to rents, I'd like to ask Mr. Tony Wong to give you more information. Thank you. In relation to rents of the R&D Institute, per month, about $20 to $30 per square foot, and I'm not talking about offices in prime locations. Each office will have to accommodate 50 staff members. That's why every year the expenditure on rent will be about $2 million per year. In the third year, there will be an increase in the number of staff members, so the rental expenditure will also rise to about $4 million every year. Well, Dr. Wendy Hong, you can guess the location. This Mr. Tony Wong just now told you $20 to $30 per square foot. Ms. Eunice Yong, thank you. Hong Kong Productivity Council, MRDI, S3, we have different R&D centers in Hong Kong. There are different organizations working on AI as well. $1 billion, 40% allocated to R&D projects, 27% to remuneration for R&D personnel, 16% to computing power, and 17% to general operating expenses. I'd like to know how you will coordinate resources to make sure there won't be duplicate applications for resources. Will there be a higher level body to oversee all the projects undertaken by the R&D Institute so that the AIRDI will be special in the sense that there will be an area on which it focuses? And I'd also like to ask about chips. In the document, when it comes to upstream R&D, chips are mentioned. I'd like to ask whether resources will be set aside for AI chips upstream R&D. If yes, how much? How will you make sure these resources will be used well? Do we have sufficient hardware for the research and development in this regard? Thank you. 2 questions, Professor Sun. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Secretary. Ms. Eunice Yong is concerned about the coordination among different AI projects. While other projects are spread across different universities or R&D institutes, AI studies are just like other scientific R&D projects. There should be a wide array of these projects. It is difficult to put in place this mechanism or arrangement. We are inclined to work with other organizations. If you use your resources well, there will be more application scenarios on their way. That's why this is the approach we will be using. When it comes to chips, do you mean whether we will buy computing chips to support the relevant R&D? Well, yes, indeed, R&D chips. We won't order the purchase of AI chips or what can be done and what cannot be done. The research and development of chips requires a lot of input, be it manpower or money. And it's not completely in line with the development of AI and AIRDI. 3 members are waiting to speak. After they have spoken, we will put this item to a vote. If other members in the complex would like to ask questions or would like to vote, please come to the conference room. Thank you. Mr. Perry Yu. I support this proposal. I support the injection as well. Regarding the goal of the setup of the R&D Institute, of course, it will have to play its role well as an AI institute, be it in upstream, midstream, and downstream. It will also have to fare better when it comes to R&D outcome commercialization and creating more application scenarios. When it comes to using technology to empower tourism or using technology plus tourism to develop the local tourism sector, I can see that the government has put in a lot of resources to develop innovative technologies. In downstream and midstream, I don't see application scenarios in the tourism sector. That's why I am particularly concerned about the AIRDI, its future plan. What innovative technologies will be launched to help micro-enterprises, especially those in the tourism sector? Well, technology plus tourism is luxury, but how can we make it happen? How can we help the government to implement policies of technology plus tourism? But of course, I understand it's about financial matters today, and I'm going to ask a financial question. 27%, that is $270 million, will be allocated to the remuneration for R&D personnel, AI technology consultants, and the staff members of marketing and industry collaboration. $270 million. I'm concerned about marketing and industry collaboration. Do you have sufficient resources to drive industry collaboration? Can you tell us more? Can you tell us the ratio of resource allocation? Well, the tourism sector is a traditional pillar of the local economy. Can the tourism sector act as a testing field? Can it be used to drive the development of technology and tourism?
局長答㗎啦，但係咧產業合
Many other members have asked about the percentage of allocation, but no one has asked about percentage allocated to industry collaboration. Mr. Wong, thank you. The AI industry will definitely work with the tourism sector. Now on marketing and industry collaboration activities, and according to our estimates, there will be 10 staff members working on it. We don't need that many staff members for marketing, as long as they can find the focus, they can identify strategic partners. Their workload will pick up in the third year. Is there any other members who wish to speak apart from Elizabeth Kwok and Eric Yim? If not, we'll put this item to a vote after they've spoken. Ms. Kwok, thank you. I'm glad that the government is dedicating more resources into AI development. I think that $1 billion of investment is not that much if we are to dovetail with the National AI Plus strategy. We already have many R&D institutes in Hong Kong, and they have their own team. 40% of the commitment of the AI RDI will be for R&D, 27% for R&D personnel remuneration and operating costs, 16% for computing power, so on and so forth. Each R&D institute has their own CEO, has their own administrative teams. Do we need so many R&D institutes in Hong Kong operating separately? On the mainland, different R&D institutes are overseen by the same team of directors. The secretary said that they are trying to consolidate different R&D institutes to lower operating costs. Now we have one more R&D institute. I wonder if we are going to consolidate resources further. Second, the sector said that some R&D institutes are trying to fight with them for business. The R&D institute has funding from the government, and the sector sometimes finds it unfair. We want the ARDI to drive the development of the trade, but how can we stop it from competing with the private sector? Secretary. The SAR government explained very well their plan. We have 3 parks and 5 INT institutes. Out of the 5 key R&D institutes, 3 of them are new, including the AIRDI. Because AI is a trend, apart from Hong Kong AIRDI, we also have the Hong Kong guy, and we may combine them. But as the Hong Kong guy is still in operation, is under the IT Commission, the government wants a AI platform. That's very clear. Second, on how the R&D Institute competes with the private sector. Well, we think that all these 5 key R&D institutes have their unique advantage and they show their public mission. And I believe that they complement with the private sector instead of competing with them. We will keep in view of the situation that you mentioned. We try to prevent it. Mr. Eric Yim. Thank you, Chairman. It is said that the Institute may launch their own R&D projects or work with universities. But there is no clear delineation of duties. If the Institute plays the leading role, then that may undermine community innovation. I know that the Institute will be launching their own R&D projects. They may subsidize and sponsor private projects. They may work with the academic and research sectors. How can the fellowship system attract external experts? Are we going to subsidize them? Thank you. The secretaries talked about the fellowship system. Secretary. The Institute will be launching their own R&D projects. We're going to establish an academic committee comprising experts from Hong Kong and other places. One of the public missions of the Institute is to promote frontier research in AI. As you can see, most breakthroughs in AI come from private enterprises and R&D institutes instead of universities. But at the same time, the Institute must work with the external sector, so we encourage the AIRDI to work with R&D companies and universities. That's why we have this fellowship system. We will have high and upstream R&D projects, and we also want to commercialize our R&D outcome. We note your suggestion, and we believe that the management of the Institute, under the leadership of the Academic Committee, will devise further details on the arrangement. If there's no other questions, I will put FCR 2025-2646 to a vote. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. None. I think that the members who voted are in favor of this item. I declare this item approved. The next meeting will be held on the 3rd of October. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.